The top stories tonight in Y News. The Commission on Elections First Division has dismissed the consolidated petition seeking to disqualify Bongbong Marcos from the presidential elections.
The DILG is seeking a dialogue with the Cebu government for allowing unvaccinated and partially vaccinated foreign tourists to enter the country through the Lacson-Sotto International Airport.
Slightly more Filipinos were found out of work in December last year despite a more relaxed COVID-19 restrictions.
Scientists from the United Kingdom have set a new record for generating energy from nuclear fusion with reaction 10 times hotter than the sun.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, February 10, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I'm Angelo Castro III.
First in the news, the unemployment rate in the Philippines slightly grew in December 2021. This despite the easing of pandemic mobility restrictions amid the lowering COVID-19 cases in the country. Rosalie Cos explains why.
An estimate of 3.27 million Filipinos were found jobless last December 2021, according to the labor force survey conducted by the Philippine Statistics Authority or PSA. This as the unemployment rate in the country slightly increased at 6.6% from 6.5% in November 2021.
Ang unemployed persons o bilang na nasa labor force na walang trabaho o negosyo nitong Disyembre 2021 ay nasa 3.27 million. Ito ay mas mataas ng 0.11 million kaysa sa 3.16 million noong Nobyembre 2021.
However, the underemployment rate was estimated at 14.7% in December 2021 from 16.7% in November 2021. The palace is confident that the employment numbers will get better in the following months, especially now that fully vaccinated foreign travelers are allowed to enter the country.
Mas ma-expect pa natin na yung January, February, March, and so on and so forth, especially with the opening ng turismo right now sa February, we expect better numbers in the coming months of 2022.
Secretary Nograles also believes this will contribute to our economic growth and opening of more industries. When asked if the reopening of tourism sector will lead to another COVID-19 surge, the palace official is confident this will not happen if
we will be able to ensure if everybody complies with all the minimum health and safety protocols po natin, maging ang mga turista, maging mga foreign nationals ay magko-comply at lahat po tayo magko-comply, ay ma-assure po natin na hindi ito magiging sanhi ng spike or surge in COVID.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Tourism appeals to local governments to streamline and simplify travel requirements for foreign visitors as the country reopens its international borders. Janice Inhente reports.
The Philippines today began accepting fully vaccinated tourists from visa-free nations. Many foreign tourists immediately book a flight to the country.
Great, because I've been away from my family for 17 months and I haven't seen my little boy, who's over 7 now, for that time because of the visa, the COVID lockdown and the inability to get the 9A visas approved for entry into the Philippines.
The Department of Tourism is confident that the eased travel restrictions for foreign tourists will be the beginning of the revival of tourism in the country and for boosting the economy. That is why the DOT appeals to local governments not to complicate the travel restrictions on tourists.
Sana tuloy-tuloy na ito para na tuloy-tuloy na magkatrabaho yung ating mga kababayan. Yun ang importante talaga sa ating turismo. magbukas na. At kung iikot man around the Philippines, sana yung mga restrictions sa mga LGU, iisa na lang, hindi masyado komplikado. So yun lang na naman ang gusto nila, ease of travel at makabukas na tayo.
Based on the IATF guidelines, fully vaccinated tourists can now enter the country and will no longer be subjected to facility-based quarantine. Foreign tourists who complete their requirements are only required to self-monitor in their home or destination for 7 days upon arrival in the country. According to Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat, in the event that the relaxation of travel restrictions will continue and the country's tourism will be boosted again, an estimated of 1 million workers in the tourism sector are expected to return to work after more than 2 years since the COVID-19 pandemic exploded. Jenny Sanhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Department of the Interior and local government has urged business establishments and workplace areas to display their safety seal certifications in their social media accounts. Ico Miguel will tell us why.
The safety seal certification affirms that an establishment or any business is compliant with the public health standards set by the government. This seal applies to all private business establishments, selected places, and government offices. Thus, the Department of the Interior and Local Government urges business owners to include the safety seal on their social media accounts or websites.
It's a badge of honor, so the business establishment can actually display the logo of the seal in any of their social media accounts or in their website. No? Maybe we can encourage them to do so.
DILG spokesperson Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya emphasized that securing a safety seal is not mandatory. On the other hand, the Department of Health says it could be a factor to reopen more industries.
Kung gagawin nating mandatory, magiging additional burden sa ating mga business establishments sa pagbubukas ng ating ekonomiya. So, the concept from the very beginning was this was a badge of honor.
Undersecretary Malaya reminded that having a safety seal doesn't mean people in establishments should be complacent. Offices and establishments will be regularly checked and monitored if they are still adhering with the implemented protocols. Establishments proven to have violated protocols can face suspension of their business permit.
For the local government units, complaints can be lodged with the Business Permits and Licensing Office. A continued violation of the safety seal requirements can lead to the suspension of the business permit or mayor's permit or even the revocation of the mayor's permit. Ganun din sa DILG, nakalagay din doon sa mga safety seals na ini-issue namin kung sino yung issuing authority. And also for the Department of Tourism, they can also revoke the and all of the issuing authorities may also revoke upon the filing of complaints with the relevant office.
Safety seal certification is free and is valid for 6 months, except for tourism enterprises that are valid for 1 year. The DILG and other government units have received almost 100,000 applications for safety seals. Over 60,000 offices and establishments in the country have received their safety seal. Ico Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines recorded 4,575 new cases of the novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19, pushing the nationwide case count to 3,627,575. Active cases nationwide are now down to 93,307. These include 85,244 patients who are experiencing mild symptoms. 3,316 are asymptomatic. 2,991 are in moderate condition. 1,444 are severely ill. And 312 are in critical condition. The death toll jumped to 54,783, or 1.51% of all infections after 94 new patients died. Meanwhile, there were 7,504 patients who have recuperated. The recovery tally stood at 3,479,485. or 95.9% of the case total. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has topped 403,328,432, while deaths have surged to 5,778,198, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is the worst hit country, with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 77,267,254 and 912,255 respectively. This is followed by India and Brazil.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, seeks a dialogue with the Cebu government on tweaking the IATF policy and allowing entry of unvaccinated foreign tourists. Lalaine Moreno explains why.
Interior Secretary Jonathan Malaya reiterates that the Interagency Task Force policy on accepting foreign tourists must be followed.
This is not the first time a similar predicament happened. It already happened in the past, but we were able to resolve that also amicably with the province of Cebu. Local governments may tweak if the policy is unclear, or if the national policy allows them to go beyond what is provided. But in this case, the policy is very clear as to the entry of individuals to the country. So I think moving forward, what we have to do is to dialogue with the province of Cebu.
Malaya said he was also not aware about the said policies and was not consulted about the matter. Cebu Governor Gwen Garcia on Wednesday issued an executive order allowing the entry of tourists even if they are unvaccinated beginning on March 1. Under the directive, foreign nationals who have yet to get their COVID-19 shots shall be subject to 3 requirements. They should present a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from the country of origin. They should be swabbed upon arrival at the Mactan Cebu International Airport. They should undergo a facility-based quarantine until the release of their second RT-PCR test result taken on the 5th day. Unvaccinated foreign travelers are also encouraged to get vaccinated during their stay in the province. Janssen vaccines will be made available for them.
Involves the very survival of several industries, all tourism related. So, let us make a decision here in Cebu, and I'll take that lead. We allow the entry of foreign nationals coming from visa-free countries. I will invoke the General Welfare Clause, where it is my responsibility to uphold the general welfare of the tourism industry and other tourist-related industries that now is in a pandemic, severely and acutely and critically affected.
Meanwhile, according to Palace spokesperson Secretary Carlo Nograles, the issue should be further addressed. Lalaine Moreno, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, clarifies that unvaccinated registered voters can still participate in the 2022 national and local election. Dante Amento tells us why.
Comelec spokesperson Director James Jimenez has denied a report that vaccination card will be required in order to vote on the May 9, 2022 automated national and local polls. Jimenez clarified unvaccinated registered voters can vote. The poll body will also not require negative antigen or RT-PCR test result.
This is false. We are not requiring vaccinations. We are not requiring proof of vaccination. We are not even requiring RT-PCR tests for voters. Hindi po yan requirement.
Based on the Comelec Resolution 10727, voters upon entry to the voting centers will only undergo strict health screening. Those who will have high body temperature or with COVID-19 symptoms will still be allowed to vote in a separate isolation polling place or IPP. Comelec data shows a total of 65,721,230 registered voters can cast their votes in the upcoming polls. 32,076,993 are men, while 33,644,237 are women.
37,015,901 are aged 18 to 41 years old. Meaning to say, yung projections natin previously that the youth would account for about 52% of the voting population appears to be fairly accurate.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The tandem of Senator Panfilo Lacson and Senate President Vicente Sotto III favors the proposed pandemic plan exit in the country. Meanwhile, another senatorial candidate is scrapped from the lineup of the presidential and vice presidential bets. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
In line with their discipline campaign and platforms, the Lacson-Sotto tandem said the country can transition to an endemic stage of COVID-19 as long as it is carefully planned out and is backed up with scientific data.
Babalik ako sa consistency. It should be science-based and data-driven.
Vice Presidential candidate Vicente Tito Sotto III explains the country has sufficient budget for the treatment and recovery plan. He also stated that as experienced legislators, they are qualified to implement these laws.
There is enough budget for treatment and prevention. Yun dapat ang magiging aksyon ng susunod na administrasyon pagdating sa pandemic, exit ng pandemic at pagtrato sa pandemic. Ngayon, babalik ako sa sinasabi namin lagi. Sa dami ng batas na aming ginawa, kasama itong batas ng 2022 budget, wala nang the best magpatupad nung kundi yung mga gumawa ng batas.
Lacson also remains optimistic that they can convince the people to vote for them in spite of their straightforward tactics. He assures that Partido Reforma has concrete plans for the country.
I always think strategically, Kung hindi man mapakinabangan sa 2022 elections yung aming pagpipresent as candidates, advocacy, platform, plano, wala yung entertainment, not so much. But ang focus namin talaga kung ano yung problema, ano yung mga solusyon.
Meanwhile, the Lacson-Sotto tandem also removed re-electionist Sherwin Gatchalian in their senatorial slate after he endorsed the BBM Sara Unity team during a proclamation rally on Tuesday. Lacson reiterates the importance of honesty, integrity, and loyalty, which he learned during his stay at the Philippine Military Academy. For Sotto, this will help the public see which candidates will remain loyal to the country. In a tweet, Gatchalian said he respects the decision of Lacson and Sotto. He also apologized for the misunderstanding he may have caused. The Lacson-Sotto tandem dropped former Quezon City Mayor Herbert Bautista from their senatorial lineup yesterday. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Acción Democratico's national aspirants held their campaign in some parts of Laguna. In a media talk, presidential candidate Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso expressed his gratitude to the supporters of President Rodrigo Duterte. Asher Cadapan Jr. tells us why.
Several supporters of President Rodrigo Duterte have been switching to ally with the Mayor Isko Doc Really tandem for the 2022 national and local elections. Presidential aspirant Manila City Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso explains this as he welcomes the support of the so-called political orphans after Senator Bongo withdrew his candidacy for the national post. The national party is optimistic as Dumagoso also moves to the second spot for the presidential candidates in a poll conducted by Tangere.
Maraming salamat sa mga DDS, mga Duterte diehard supporter at mga kaalyado ni Pangulong Duterte na tumutulong sa atin. Kahapon si Mayor Tom, I think is PDP, pero officially sa harapan ng publiko sinabi niya na tayo na yung presidente niya at tutulungan niya yung ating mga kandidato.
Mayor Dumagoso vows to build more schools, hospitals, housing, and jobs to provide for the minimum basic needs, especially of the needy, but emphasizes that he will continue and finish the projects that President Duterte started.
Ginarantihan ko na mga kapwa natin Pilipino sa buong mundo at sa Pilipinas na itutuloy natin yung mga nasimulang build. Now, para naman hindi masayang yung buwis ng tao na ginastos na doon. Sana matapos yon.
Today, the Isko Wheelie Camp continue their provincial sorties in Laguna, while they are scheduled to conduct a motorcade campaign tomorrow. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Presidential aspirant Vice President Leni Robredo and her running mate Senator Kiko Pangilinan made their way to southern Tagalog on the third day of the campaign period. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
After going back to her bailiwick in Bicol region for the official start of the campaign, presidential candidate Vice President Leni Robredo this time wooed the Batangueños as she made rounds in Batangas today. Robredo and Vice Presidential candidate Senator Francis Kiko Pangilinan went first to Padre Garcia town, where they were welcomed with music and pink flags. The tandem reminded the voters to look for the track record and integrity of candidates. They also called on their supporters to help in fighting the proliferation of fake news on social media.
Marami pa tayong kailangan natin kumbinsihin. Marami pa ang naniniwala sa fake news na hindi totoo. Araw-araw nasa YouTube, nasa Facebook ang masinungalingan. Tayo, kinakailangan na ubas, kinakailangan kausapin, kumbinsihin ang ating mga kababayan kung ano ang totoo.
Mas mahirap yung hinahanap natin dahil sa social media. Yung social media, maraming mga paniniwala ang natubuo. At karamihan nun ay nakabase sa hindi naman totoo. Pero ang kailangan po natin, mag-desisyon tayo. Na yung lahat na hindi totoo, kailangan natin basagin.
The Leni Kiko tandem also visited the town of Balayan and Lipa City, where several senatorials of the Robredo ticket were present, including Attorney Chel Jokno, Senator Richard Gordon, and labor lawyer Sonny Matula. In the afternoon, Robredo went to the Lipa City Hall to meet with Lipa City Mayor Eric Africa, other city officials, and her legal counsel, Attorney Romulo Macalintan. The last leg of the Batangas campaign today was at Faith Colleges in Tanawan City, where the tandem was welcomed mostly by students and faculty members. The Leni Kiko team will be heading to Laguna tomorrow. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The National Police Commission approved the recruitment of 18,179 police officers this year. In a statement released by NAPOLCOM, Vice Chairman Vitaliano Aguirre announced the approval of Resolution Number 2022-0050 that grants PNP Chief Jonardo Carlos to recruit 1,000 patrolmen and patrol women for regular recruitment and 17,179 for attrition recruitment. Aguirre said the regular recruitment quota is intended to increase uniformed personnel strength, enhance police visibility, and increase police population ratio for peace and order conditions. While the attrition recruitment is to replace uniformed personnel, losses due to separation from the service by retirement, resignation, death, dismissal from the service, and absence without leave.
The national government plans to ramp up its booster and pediatric vaccination on the third round of the National Vaccination Days. JP Nunez reports why.
The Department of Health reported that only 10% of the eligible population has received their COVID-19 booster shots. DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III admits booster vaccination in the country is quite challenging.
Yung booster natin, aminin ko, may kababaan pa rin talaga tayo. Nationally, we're probably about 10%. Close to that. The discrepancy is really because when you booster someone, you have to be mindful of the time difference between your second dose and your booster dose.
The third National Vaccination Days is dedicated to ramp up booster vaccination and the primary series for pediatric 5 to 11, which started this week. The national government opened up more vaccination sites in pharmacies. 2/3 of the target will focus on inoculating those who are due from their booster dose, while around 1.6 million will come from 5 to 11-year-old kids.
Itong mga ganitong pamamaraan ang atin isinasagawa, inilalatag natin ito para talagang tumaas ang booster dose natin, yung coverage. Pero ito, siguro in about 1 week, maaabot natin itong 5 million. Yung 2/3 dito kasi for boosters, 18 years and above, gaya nung nakita nyo sa taas, ito yung mga manggagawa o yung mga empleyado sa mga karatig establishmento.
Presidential Advisor for COVID-19 Response Secretary Vince Dizon said the government aims to increase the number of booster vaccination in provinces, especially those in remote areas.
Extend na ni Secretary Duque ng 1 linggo para talaga matodo natin yung boosters, lalo na sa mga malalaking syudad tulad ng NCR, Davao, Cebu, Region 3, Region 4.
The original schedule of the third National Vaccination Day will only last until tomorrow, but the Interagency Task Force decided to extend it for 5 days to achieve the target 5 million total inoculation. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, with pediatric COVID-19 cases surpassing 10 million in the United States, Pfizer and BioNTech initiate rolling submission for emergency use authorization of their COVID-19 vaccine to children 6 months through 4 years of age, following a request from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Marvital Finn will give us the details live. Yes, Marvi?
Mariel, the U.S. government's plan to roll out COVID-19 shots for children under the age of 5 can start as soon as February 21, according to a document from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. This comes after the spike of child hospitalizations during the Omicron variant surge, most notably among kids under the age of 2. Pfizer is currently seeking authorization for the first 2 doses of a planned 3-dose regimen, with a promise to deliver more data to the FDA in the coming months. The pediatric vaccine being tested is a 3-microgram dose, which is less than a third of the dose authorized for 5 to 11-year-olds, and 1/10 of an adult dose. The first rollout will prioritize areas where children are at higher risk for severe COVID-19 disease. Marielle?
Thank you, Marvital Finn, for that live report. Australia's top spy agency warns that foreign spies are targeting Australians through social media. Maeve and Dog will tell us why live. Yes, Maeve, please go ahead.
Mariel, ASIO Director General Mike Burgess said in his annual threat assessment speech yesterday that foreign spies are reportedly using WhatsApp and dating apps like Tinder and Bumble to approach Australians who have access to sensitive information.
Foreign spies are constantly seeking to penetrate government, defence, academia and business to steal classified information, military capabilities, policies, plans and sensitive research.
According to Mike Burgess, spies use social media profiles to make seemingly harmless offers to employees of interest, like job offers to those in the government. They then proceed to message them directly on encrypted platforms or through in-person meetings before making a recruitment pitch. With Australians spending more time online due to COVID-19 lockdowns, the risk of cyber-enabled espionage and foreign interference has increased. Mr. Burgess gave a familiar warning to any potential victims that if it seems too good to be true, then it probably is. Marielle?
Thank you, Maeve and Dog, reporting live from Australia. Fusion technology takes a big leap in the United Kingdom as experts produce record amount of heat energy, producing 2 times that of the energy produced in 1997. Therese Longbowen will tell us the details live. Yes, Therese, good evening.
Good evening, Marielle. Researchers conducting an experiment with fusion technology at the joint European Torus successfully produced 59 megajoules of energy, holding it for over 5 seconds. Ian Chapman, the Chief Executive Officer for the United Kingdom Atomic Energy Authority, announced the landmark results yesterday.
If we compare the best sustained performance from 1997, we've now extended that record up to 59 megajoules now sustained, done with genuine fusion fuels, and now for the first time ever with a compatible mixture of metals on the inside that power plants could use.
The experiment has become a pivotal moment in fusion technology as it only provides a clear demonstration on the potential sustainable, clean, and near unlimited energy source for the world in the future. Even though the energy was only sustained and held for over 5 seconds, researchers remain optimistic that with elevated technology, this energy can be held for a longer period of time. Meanwhile, the problems of climate change could be tackled with the commercialization of fusion energy, translated as carbon-free electricity, looking forward in 10 to 20 years. Marielle?
Thank you, Therese Longbowen reporting live. NASA has interestingly picked up stunning new views of Venus that look like a glowing iron from the forge. Paul Gatchalian will give us the details live. Yes, Paul, go ahead.
While on a daring mission to study the sun, NASA's Parker Solar Probe has captured along the way the rocky surface of Venus that is visibly glowing. Venus' surface is usually shrouded from sight, but in its 2 recent flybys, the Parker Solar Probe used its Wide Field Imager, or WHISPER, to capture the entire night side of Venus that the human eye can see. Physicist Brian Wood said the Earth's twin planet is so hot that its rocky surface is visibly glowing like an iron pulled out from a forge. Early last year, NASA discovered what WHISPER instrument is capable of seeing. The stunning new image of Venus are also going to be used to study the planet's geology and investigate minerals on the surface. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian reporting live from New Zealand. In other news, a light spectacle illuminated the skies of Kaohsiung, Taiwan for the 2022 Lantern Festival. Mary Jo Maleriado reports.
1,500 drones flew in formation as highlight of 2022 Lantern Festival last February 9 over Taiwan's largest harbor city, Kaohsiung. The largest-scale celebration that was held at Kaohsiung's Love River Bay featured the world-class drone animation to showcase the heart-shaped national flags of 6 vaccine donors of Taiwan. Colorful animated flags of Japan, Lithuania, Slovakia, Poland, the United States, and the Czech Republic were displayed in a big thank you to demonstrate friendship, solidarity, and to express deep gratitude of Taiwanese people to their international partner who have helped Taiwan during the pandemic last year. Kaohsiung City government and technical team worked together for half a year to deliver this spectacular light show. Kaohsiung Mayor Chen Chimai wrote on his Facebook page, "A friend in need is a friend indeed," and that he is deeply thankful for the precious friendship and believe the beauty of the world can always be found in humanity. Mayor Chen, along with the residents, believed that the festival represented bright prospects of the year ahead. Mary Jo Maleriado, UNTV News and Rescue, Taiwan. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
The Commission on Elections First Division has unanimously dismissed the disqualification cases against presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Dante Amento will tell us why live.
Good evening, Diego. In a 41-page resolution penned by Comelec Commissioner Amy Ferolino, the ponente the Comelec First Division has resolved to dismiss the 3 disqualification cases against presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. for allegedly lack of merit. These cases were filed by Bonifacio Ilagan et al., Abubakar Mangelen, and Akbayan Group et al. The division cited a Court of Appeals ruling where there was penalty or where the penalty of imprisonment was absent as ground for disqualification. The division also examined the document submitted by the respondent that he paid his income tax deficiencies as correct, and the crime of non-filing of income tax returns is not a crime involving moral turpitude based on a Supreme Court ruling over Philippines versus Marcos Jr. and Imelda Marcos case. Meanwhile, in his separate concurring opinion, Commissioner Marlon Casquejo also voted to dismiss the disqualification cases. Casquejo argued that based on the Court of Appeals ruling that there was no moral turpitude being mentioned, and it was final for the Commission has no power to modify it. Marcos has only one remaining DQ case before the Comelec Second Division. Meanwhile, the petitioners' Akbayan Group said the ruling was a setback for electoral democracy, but stressed they will appeal to the Comelec and bank. Meanwhile, Diego Marcos Jr. spokesperson attorney Victor or Vic Rodriguez on the other hand says that they commend the members of the Comelec First Division for upholding the law by dismissing the nuisance petitions. The petitioners also are allegedly found guilty of lying and deliberately misleading the Comelec by intentionally quoting wrong provisions of our laws. And that's our latest live from Quezon City. Back to you, Diego.
Thank you for that live report, Dante Amento.
Now here's a story of a 30-year-old Ghanaian whose dream came true with God's help and mercy when Members Church of God International visited him at home. He did not expect it, but truly he felt God's loving grace and that MCGI cares.
Nko ina samodo. Ako 30 years. Mele Japo.
Samuel Doe is a paralyzed 30-year-old dreamer. Despite his physical condition and being an orphan, he never stops striving and dreaming for a better future for himself. On board a wheelchair, he overcomes daily challenges with a thankful heart.
Yandu duva paji yagwa mele yana amekeke kona jinyele fi afi nimenya etonya eche novire kakwele asinye yamele fio yache etole vovo ta yachele etobo enonyene amekeke yacheke kwenare unyele nyefe skufe dedeme.
Despite his physical disabilities, he is thankful for the life he has.
Menyebe dode asile unye garembe o menyewa menetota nemaku halo umaji edoreke de asinu namo ta metome odem school never the vocational school abo mevasron asinu do onye phone fewo play TV amp fewo play eto dedo fewo.
Samuel said, by the grace of God, he was able to learn several skills.
MCGI Yani ha mezode ojibe amase na no akpede unye abe tu nyefe dawa abe screwdriver, meter, iron, lead, clay blower.
To support Samuel in his perseverance in life, Members Church of God International granted his wish to have tools to put up his own small repair shop. He also received MCGI free store items.
Dak bana mau de nyefe nanata. Nukita kama bia henye dawanu. Eminem hula dak bana nyimale ndodo mana ndudu aucho gake akpena mi be nikoya che koperona maana nane dola no aga jireji ameske to kuma poche na manumia wade ama chabo akpena mi kuna ka akpena chipo to plihame
Akpena Mao. Thanks be to God, or no matter how it is said, it is right to give thanks to the Lord Almighty for His wondrous gifts. MCGI will continuously work to make it known in all nations that God is the God of love and goodness. MCGI will continue to work with love and gladness because MCGI cares.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God from the book of Psalms 103:14. It says, "For he knoweth our frame, he remembereth that we are dust." And those are the reasons behind the news, February 10, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.